There are places on the map where the forest seems to breathe. Blackwater Creek was one of them. It wasn't a creek anymore, at least not the kind you imagine bubbling peacefully between rocks. This one was thick, unmoving, the color of old ink. It lay like a wound cut into the earth, surrounded by gnarled trees whose roots twisted downward as though trying to crawl away from the water instead of drinking from it. Locals never went near it after dusk. Tourists never went near it at all. And those who did, well, the town's old-timers had a name for them, the missing monthlies. Because when someone vanished near Blackwater Creek, it always seemed to be exactly 30 days after their first strange symptom, hearing footsteps in shallow water behind them. No one knew who coined that name, but everyone knew the legend. I first heard it from a man named Harry Mohan, the only recorded survivor of the Blackwater incident of 1973. He was in his late 70s when he finally agreed to speak on camera. His fingers trembled, but his voice didn't. If anything, he spoke with the certainty of someone recounting a nightmare he had lived rather than dreamt. "Don't go there at night," he said, leaning close to the microphone. His breath smelled faintly of camphor. "Don't look at the water unless you want to see something look back, and if you see the lantern, God forbid, run." He paused. "But don't run toward light. Her light looks just like salvation." He swallowed hard before continuing. "You'll know it's her when you see her standing knee-deep in the water, hair soaked, face hidden, lantern glowing faint and yellow, calling for the one who never came home. But she doesn't know he's gone. She only knows the searching." He leaned farther in. "Don't let her mark you. If her lantern reflects on water near you, even a puddle, you're hers in 30 days. When we asked him who she was, he went silent. When we asked why he survived, he whispered something so soft the microphone barely caught it. Because I never looked at my reflection again. Then he stood up, walked out of the room, and never spoke to us again. 50 years passed after the Blackwater incident, enough time for facts to rot and legends to grow, which is why the 4 journalism students from Crescent Valley University thought it would be the perfect subject for their documentary project. They were known for exploring abandoned places, folklore, conspiracy theories, everything trending in the dark tourism niche. Their channel name was Unfiltered Realities. The group was tight-knit, Reva Senior, lead investigator, calm, sharp, the type who believed every legend had a human explanation, Kanishk Rao, cameraman, obsessed with capturing paranormal content, but insisted he didn't believe in ghosts. Zia Fernandez, folklore researcher, loved old stories, often more than the real world itself. Arjun Patil, the skeptic, loud, sarcastic, and convinced all supernatural stories were scams. Of the 4, only Arjun laughed when Harry Mohan's interview ended. "Come on," he scoffed. "A wet woman with a lantern? That's not horror, that's just a tragic love story with extra steps." Reva disagreed. "This isn't about a ghost, Arjun. It's about why people disappeared. Something real must be behind the myth." Kanishk grinned. "And if we capture the myth itself? Viral gold." Zia simply whispered, "Some things become legends because the truth is too frightening." They planned a 3-day trip into the forest. Just enough time for interviews, drone footage, creek shots, and overnight recordings. They did not plan for what followed. The hike to Blackwater Creek was longer than expected. The air was strangely heavy, like someone had exhaled through the trees and forgotten to inhale again. By the time they reached the campsite near the creek, the sun was slipping below the horizon. The water reflected nothing, not the sky, not the trees, not even their lantern lights. It was like staring into melted darkness. "Creepy aesthetics," Kanishk murmured as he focused his camera. "But where's the lady of the hour?" Arjun picked up a stone and tossed it into the creek. Not a ripple, not even a sound. "Dead water," he declared. "Probably some dense mineral composition. See? Science." Zia didn't look convinced. Reva was studying her map when she frowned. "The creek used to be twice this size. Why would it shrink this much? Before anyone could answer, they heard it. Splish, splish, splish. Footsteps in shallow water behind them. Kanishk whipped his camera around. Nothing, only the thick black water, unmoving. Arjun smirked. Probably a fish, or your imagination. But that night, the real warning came long after they fell asleep. At 3:14 a.m., Zia awoke to a sound that froze her blood. Drip, drip, drip. Something wet was inside the tent. When she sat up, her fingertips touched the ground and felt mud. Cold, sticky mud. Kanishk, hearing her gasp, switched on his red camping light. And there, illuminated in the dim glow, they saw them. Wet footprints. Small at first, then larger, then unmistakably human. A trail leading from the flap of the tent to where Arjun was sleeping, but Arjun did not wake, not even when Zia shook him. His skin felt cold. When they reviewed the footage from the outside security camera the next morning, they expected to see nothing. But there was something. At exactly 3:14 a.m., the camera picked up a faint yellow light near the creek, drifting slowly, as if carried by someone walking. A lantern. And just before the footage corrupted, a woman's silhouette appeared for a single frame. The silhouette was facing their tent. Morning arrived reluctantly, as though the sun itself didn't want to step into Blackwater territory. Arjun was the last to wake. He looked pale, irritated, and confused. "What's with the stairs?" he muttered. Riva glanced at the security footage frozen on Kanishk's tablet. The single corrupted frame of a woman-shaped shadow. Lantern glowing muted gold beside her. She chose her words carefully. "You really didn't hear anything last night? No footsteps? No water sounds?" Arjun rubbed his temple. "Just a weird dream. Felt like someone was whispering my name underwater." Zia stiffened. "What did the voice say?" Arjun shrugged. "Nothing clear, just calling." He stood, stretched, and scratched the back of his neck. But when he pulled his hand away, there was something smeared on his skin. Mud. Thick black mud, the kind from the creek. Kanishk's breath caught. That wasn't there last night. But Arjun dismissed it. "I must have touched the ground when I was half asleep." Except the mud wasn't on his hands, or his clothes, or anywhere else. Only that single print-thick smear on the back of his neck, almost like a hand had pressed there. Zia insisted they take a walk away from camp, far from the creek, to talk. She unfolded an old archive map she'd brought, a map drawn by surveyors in 1952. "This creek," she said, pointing, "was never supposed to be this deep or this dark. It wasn't even marked as dangerous until after 1961. Riva leaned in. "What happened in 1961? Zia swallowed. "A woman disappeared here, a woman named..." The wind carried her words away, but the name hung unspoken between them. "That's just a story," Arjun interrupted. "A grieving woman looking for her husband, lantern, drowning. Guy dies, she dies, sad cycle, nothing supernatural." But his voice lacked conviction, and Riva didn't miss the way he kept rubbing the back of his neck, as though it itched beneath the skin.